The team was producing, numbers in range, nobody quit, the one-on-ones happened, the all hands stayed on schedule, and something was completely wrong. You could feel it in the hallway, in the way conversations stopped a bit too fast when you walked up, in the questions that got answered with the answers that did not quite answer the question. The team was producing, but the team was not moving. And right now, if you are listening to this in your car or at your desk and you just felt something in your stomach, then I am talking to you. What's good with you? I'm Ibrahim Daffae. This is the I Don't Subscribe, presented by House of Lone Wolf. Now, if you are new here, I want to say welcome. Stay with me. This one is going to land somewhere specific. If you have been here with me already, then you know the standard. We don't do theory here. We don't do inspiration. We do intelligence. And today's episode is a field report, which means I am not bringing you a framework. I am bringing you a precise diagnosis of something that is happening right now in companies all over this country, something that almost nobody is naming correctly. Let's get into it. I want you to picture an organization that went through something hard. Pause. Maybe it was a restructuring. Maybe it was a leader who ran the team on fear for years and finally got removed. Maybe it was a public figure, the kind that shows up in the news cycle. Maybe it was a crisis the team survived together, but just barely. Whatever it was, it is over. On paper, we are talking about 12, 18 months later. The executive leading that team is doing everything right. They communicated through the event. They invested in the team afterward. They promoted from within. They ran the culture initiatives. They said the right things, and all of the hands on deck was looking good. And the team is still not right. The numbers are technically in range. Nobody has quit dramatically, but the energy is gone. One-on-ones feel like performance reviews conducted by both people. Nobody owns a decision without looking around the room first. When the executive pushes for bold thinking, what comes back is careful thinking dressed as bold. An HR's answer is a team building offsite. Now, right now, there is a sentence forming in your head. And it sounds like, but I'm a good leader. Or, but this is on my predecessor. Or, but the service scores went up last quarter. Hold that thought. Just hold it, because we are going to come back to it. Because here's the diagnostic problem in this scenario. That executive is not confused about the symptoms. They are reading the symptoms accurately. They are confused about the diagnosis. And when the diagnosis is wrong, every tool you reach for makes the problem worse. There's a word that names what it actually is happening in that team. Now, before I say it, I want you to resist the urge to route it through a clinical framework. Because the moment you do, you will miss what it actually means in this context. The word is trauma. That is the Greek word for trauma. Not as a therapeutic category, as an organizational condition. When a group of people goes through a significant event, a restructuring, a leadership failure, a sustained period of pressure, a crisis that reorganizes how they relate to the environment they are operating in, something happens to that group. And it does not announce itself. A team in this condition does not walk into the morning, stand up and say, we have been through something and we are still carrying it. It performs. That is the most dangerous thing about it. A team in this condition does not perform badly. It performs carefully. And careful performance look like competence. Now, until the moment the business needs that team to take a real risk and nobody moves, let me get specific. Here's what shows up across teams in this state. They over-explain. Every decision arrives with a paragraph of justification that nobody asked for. Because somewhere in that event, they learn that a decision without armor is a decision that can be taken from you. They hedge. They give you the answer they think you want and call it their opinion. Because somewhere in that event, having an actual opinion costs someone something visible. They stop owning outcomes. They complete tasks. They do not own results, because when someone owns a result and it goes wrong, that person becomes the name attached to the failure. And they watch that happen to someone they respected over and over. So they are not going to be that person. And here's the one that is the hardest to see. They are loyal. They show up. They work hard. They say the right things publicly. Because the people who survived the event bonded through the survival. And loyalty to each other, not to the institution, becomes the only trust architecture still standing in that team. From the outside, that loyalty looks like a high-functioning team. From the inside, it is a group of people who have decided quietly, without ever holding a meeting about it, that the institution cannot be fully trusted. And no offsite changes that decision, because the decision was not made consciously. It was learned. And learned things do not unlearn through programming. They unlearn through evidence. Different evidence than what created them. So here's the spine of this episode right here. The sentence I want you to take away with: your team is not underperforming. Your team is protecting itself. Those are not the same problem. They will never have the same solution. You heard? Now let me put this in front of you with more texture. Pause. That sounds crazy. There are environments where pressure is not a moment. It is a condition. It does not arrive with thunder. It is in the room before anyone walks in. It is still there when everyone leaves. You can find this kind of environment in a lot of places. A correctional facility where the staff are operating under pressure for years. A hospital department running through a sustained workforce shortage. A nonprofit that absorbed a public scandal and kept the doors open. A startup that survived a near-death funding event. A division of Fortune 500 that watched its parent company lose the market. The industries are different. The vocabulary is different. The pattern is identical. What happens to a group of people inside that kind of environment over time is not a collapse. It is a reorganization. The team does not stop functioning. They become highly skilled at a very specific kind of functioning. Minimize exposure, complete the assigned work, never become the name on a failed decision. The language in the room shifts. You can hear it if you are listening to it. Fewer declarative sentences, more conditional ones. I think this might work instead of this works. We could consider instead of we should. The body language shifts too, not dramatically, subtly. The way people sit at the table when certain topics come up. The way eye contact distributes differently when the conversation touches something sensitive. The way silence lands after a direct question just slightly too long. You feel it before you can name it. And the leader of that environment, who often has done nothing wrong, who is genuinely invested in rebuilding, keeps applying the tools they have. More transparency, more investment, more attention, clearer goals, better one-on-ones. And the team keeps performing carefully, because the problem is not the tools. The problem is that nobody has named what the team has been through. Not to HR, not to a consultant, to the team. That is the move most executives never make. And right now, I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, if I name it, it sounds like I am admitting the organization caused damage. It sounds like I am opening up something I do not have a category for. It sounds like weakness in a room that was never built to hold that kind of conversation. I dig it. But here's what is true about teams in this state. The team already knows. They are not waiting for you to tell them something they do not know. They are waiting for someone with authority to confirm what they have been carrying alone, not to fix it, but to see it. There's a difference between leadership that repairs and leadership that witnesses. Repair comes later. Witnessing has to come first. And the leader who walks into that room, not with a solution, not with a program, not with a deck, but with the language to say plainly, I see what this team has been carrying, and I am not going to pretend otherwise. That leader does more in 5 minutes than any offsite has ever done in 2 days. So if a specific team just came to mind as I was talking, before we go any further into this episode, I want you to go to houseoflonewolf.com and pick up the 7-minute executive crisis framework. It is complimentary, no pitch attached, 7 minutes, a structured diagnostic that helps you identify exactly what kind of organizational condition you are looking at before you decide what to do about it. Because if the diagnosis I just walked you through is right and your gut already told you it is, the worst move you can make is to walk into that room with the wrong tool. Run the diagnostic first. houseoflonewolf.com. You heard? Now let's finish this. 3 moves, not a 10-step program, not an acronym. 3, because 3 is what a leader can actually hold when they are inside the situation. So what is the first move? Name the condition before you treat it. This is not a memo. This is not an HR communication. This is not a town hall with a slide deck behind you. This is a room, small, direct, honest. It sounds something like this. I know what this team has been through. I know it didn't end cleanly. I know some of you are still carrying weight from it. I am not going to pretend that a fresh start means the past disappears, because it does not. But I want you to know that I see it. And what I am asking you to build going forward, I am asking with that awareness. That is not therapy. That is leadership. And it is the most powerful move available in that room because it replaces ambient uncertainty with the specific name acknowledgement. Uncertainty can be exhausting for some. Being seen is not. Your second move would be to rebuild safety architecture, not morale. Morale is how people feel about the organization. Safety architecture is whether the organization has demonstrated it can be trusted with risk. Those are not the same thing. You cannot build morale in a team that does not yet believe taking a risk will not cost them something. Sequence matters here. Safety architecture first, morale will follow. What does that look like in practice? I'm glad you asked. That just took me back to my preaching days. Preachers used to love saying that. It looks like a leader who owns a bad call publicly in front of the team without deflecting. It looks like someone being rewarded visibly for flagging a problem early instead of managing it quietly. It looks like a meeting where someone challenged the direction and the leader says, "Good. Say more about that," and actually means it. Small, repeated, consistent. The team is not looking for a speech. They are looking for evidence. Every one of those moments is evidence. Give them enough of it and the trust starts to rebuild. Not because anyone announced it, because the leader demonstrated it. You heard? Your third move, well, this may be the hard one because we have to separate the survivors from the wound. Right now, a specific person on your team just showed up. A face, a name. Stay with that for a second because here's something most leadership development programs will never tell you. Not every person who survived the event belongs in the next chapter. Some people on a team like this survive and built their professional identity around the survival. The event became the organizing story of their career. The badge, the proof, the reason their seat is theirs. That person is not building the future with you. They are preserving the past that justifies their presence. This is not a character flaw. It is a human response to a real experience. But the executive's job is not to manage the human response. The executive's job is to lead the organization. And an organization organized around its last wound does not have space for its next swing. Making that distinction between who is building and who is preserving and making deliberate decisions about who leads the next phase of the work, that is the move. With compassion, without apology, because the most respectful thing a leader can do for someone who is stuck in the past is not to keep them there. You heard? Now, if everything I just walked you through is landing and you already know it is, then the Feral Advantage bundle with a $497 investment is where this work lives systematically. Section 4 of the Feral Framework, Executive Team Transformation, is the structure for exactly what we just covered. reading collective team dynamics, navigating inherited organizational wounds, leading through pressure without absorbing it. This is not a course you take once and shelf. This is the system you run the next time you walk into a room and something is wrong, but nobody is saying it. houseoflonewolf.com. And you will find the links in the description. How they do this, how they be doing it. They point their fingers down the arrow. You will find the links down in the description. You heard? But let me just bring this home. Because the team in this scenario that I walk you through, they are not broken. They are adaptive. What looks like resistance is intelligence. What looks like disengagement is self-preservation. What looks like underperformance is a perfectly rational response to an environment that has demonstrated repeatedly that full investment is not safe. The executive who walks into a team like that with a performance improvement plan is not wrong about what they see. They are wrong about what it means. And in this work, what it means is everything. You are going to drive home tonight, or you are going to finish your day, and there is going to be one name in your head, a specific person on your team. That is not a coincidence. That is the diagnosis already finding its target. The question is not whether you saw it. The question is what you are going to do with the seeing. Until next time, I'm Ibrahim Daffae, and I don't subscribe to the idea that a team that has been through something hard just needs better management and a 2-day offsite. What they need is a leader who has the language for what they are carrying and the intelligence to understand that naming it is not the end of the work. It's how the work begins. You dig? I'm out.
What?